the Fighting Irish are on the road for the first time this season. They'll take on Wake Forest before a record crowd at BB&T Field. With Brandon Wimbush at quarterback, the Irish are 3-0. But the offense has sputtered. So today, Brian Kelly turns to Ian Book, hoping he can bring consistency and big plays to the passing game. Wake Forest has big playmakers, including Greg Dortch, a dynamic receiver and kick returner. He leads the nation in all-purpose yardage. The question today, can he, true freshman quarterback Sam Hartman, and the rest of the Demon Deacons make enough big plays to give Wake its first win over a top 10 opponent since 1946? It certainly feels like midsummer here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Hot and steamy, the temperature heading to the high 80s as number 8 Notre Dame is here to take on the 2-1 Demon Deacons. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough, along with Todd Blackledge, joined in a moment by Holly Rowe. Delighted to have you with us. Todd, when we visited with Brian Kelly last night, the Notre Dame coach said, maybe I'm crazy making a quarterback change, replacing Brandon Wimbush, who's 12-3 as a starter, but they want more from a passing game that has struggled.
Yeah, I'm not sure about crazy, but he's certainly gutsy, because not only is Wimbush a winner and a leader, he's also their best runner when he's on the field. But he has to do it. It's the right time. He loves his defense. They're starting to run the ball better, like you would expect Notre Dame, but their passing game, they need more productivity, and he's hoping that Ian Book can be a distributor of the football, get the ball in the hands of his playmakers at time and in position when they can do something with the football.
And that has not been happening. Notre Dame has not scored more than 24 points in a game this year. Here come the Demon Deacons onto the field. They were led out by John Wolford, their 4-year starting quarterback who played against Notre Dame 1 year ago. Notre Dame and Wake Forest, the Irish, the highest-ranked non-conference foe ever to come to Winston-Salem. The opening kickoff, they won the toss, elected to receive, and put the new starting quarterback Ian Book right out there. Darren Ford kicks off, and Michael Young, a couple yards deep, takes a knee. Here's Holly Rowe.
Well, Brian Kelly said our defense is good enough to win every single game, but he felt like he needed to make a change at quarterback, and he said, I wasn't willing to lose a game before we made that decision. He said Ian Book operates with much more of a sense of urgency, and that filters through the team. He said when he told Brandon Wimbush, he said that is an unbelievable young man. Of course, he was upset, but that he understood, and he wants that sense of urgency. The entire team said that was the theme for this week, and now Ian Book, he had a sense of urgency in pregame, guys. He's already sweated through his whole uniform. He's ready to rock.
Wimbush, the better runner, certainly, but Book, the more reliable passer, and plays just like that, Todd. The simple plays where guys don't have to make an acrobatic catch. Chip Long, the coordinator, called it the catch of the day, so they can take advantage of the run after the catch.
It's a combination of timing and accuracy, and I went back and watched the North Carolina game last year where Ian Book started for an injured Wimbush, and that was the first thing I saw. Much more comfortable as a passer.
That was a Mack, the 12-yard gain, and now it's Tony Jones off a big week last week in their win against Vanderbilt. His first career 100-yard game. Carlos Basham made the tackle for Wake.
Notre Dame has some big physical receivers. The best is Boykin, number 81. He's on the top of the screen to the outside.
Some trickery, and they wanted to throw it deep. No one was open deep, so it's the check down to Tony Jones. And he spins ahead to the 40-yard line. Good defense by Wake Forest, which gave up a lot of big plays last Thursday night in the loss here to Boston College.
5 touchdown passes to Boston College last week. They were all long passes, and a lot of them were breakdowns in discipline and eye discipline. That's a very encouraging sign for the Wake Forest secondary on the first deep pass attempt of the game.
And Book can run too. Brian Kelly said he's a good athlete. He can hurt you with his feet. Nowhere to go. Out of bounds at the 36, and Notre Dame will punt. DJ Taylor chased him out after Basham flushed him from the punt.
The happiest guy in this stadium right now is Jay Salvell, the defensive coordinator for Wake Forest, because that was a very encouraging possession to stay disciplined on defense and force the quarterback to either dump it off or run the football on those third down plays.
Tyler Newsome, off his historic day last week against Vanderbilt, had 3 punts of more than 60 yards, set the Notre Dame single-game average 59.5. And that's one way to negate the threat by Dortch, who's already brought 2 punts back for touchdowns this year. Force a fair catch. 43-yard punt. Sam Hartman, the true freshman, will lead Wake Forest when we come back. And here's Sam Hartman, the true freshman, 19 years old, from Charlotte, North Carolina, about an hour and a half from here. He'll lead a very up-tempo Wake Forest offense. They'll go about as fast as anybody in the country, trying to go deep on the first play of the game to Alex Bachman.
Dave Clawson told me before the game, he looked around, he kind of said, man, it's hot. We are going to try to run as many plays as we can. Now, the key to that is you got to make some first downs, and that first down is most critical.
Hartman swings it out wide to the near side. And an excellent rally to the ball. Greg Dortch dropped immediately by Jalen Elliott. And they are very good friends, both Elliott and Dortch, from Richmond, Virginia. They keep in regular contact, work out together in the summers. Short set on target, first down, first of the game for the Demon Deacons. First catch of the day, and already the 29th of the season in his 4th game for Greg Dortch.
Very quick and explosive athlete. He's not very big, 170 pounds, and he told us yesterday he actually gained 10 pounds from last year, but he can be electric.
His 2nd catch of the game, pardon me, for 30 catches for the year. From midfield. Straight ahead, here's Cade Carney. Tough inside runner. He's out of Davidson Day in Charlotte, a school that Sam Hartman attended. They both played for Chad Greer, outstanding coach, the dad of Will Greer, the great quarterback at West Virginia. Coach Greer moved on to Oceanside Collegiate Academy in South Carolina last year. Sam Hartman went with him for his final year in high school. He avoided a sack, got a couple more. Here comes 3rd down and 2. Drew Tranquil, the tackle.
This is a good matchup for Wake Forest because they feel like their offensive line, even though they lost their starting left tackle, is a position of strength, and this front of Notre Dame is solid.
Carney, the first down and much more. Down to the 35-yard line. Another tackle for Drew Tranquil, and we'll call his name a lot today.
The quarterback did a great job of holding the defensive end and allowing Carney to get to the outside off his fake.
Here's the tempo at which they want to go. Here's pressure on Hartman, and he got it off and did very well to do so, surrounded by Notre Dame rushers. He threw it away in the direction of Alex Bachman.
Good pressure by Notre Dame. He did not get out of the tackle box, but there was a receiver in the area, so he threw it in the correct place. And as you say, did a great job, a courageous job of getting rid of the football.
He's tough. They list him at 190, and that's probably generous, probably closer to 185. Cade Carney upended after he got across the line to make. Julian Love, the tackle. First down, Wake Forest, 24-yard line.
Watch from the left of your screen. The wide receiver, Sage Surratt, number 14, is going to come in and get a block on the safety. That opens up the edge, and they pick up the first down.
Carney again. Grew up just down the street in Advance, North Carolina, coming to Wake Forest games, dreaming of playing here. His dad owns a construction company that's done a lot of work on the campus. And Carney's been a part of that in the summertime, driving some dump trucks to help build some sidewalks on the beautiful campus. He was leading the way for Hartman, who got swung back to the 25-yard line by Julian Okwara.
Yeah, Okwara was coming on an inside stunt, and he just kind of ran right into the play. They weren't anticipating him being in that gap, but the stunt took him right to the quarterback for a nice play.
He's from Charlotte, about an hour and a half away. Hartman, room up the middle, and now this will be interesting. They have a freshman field goal kicker. He's been solid, but they've all been from close range, and this is about the extent of where Dave Clawson said they might try one. They went for it on 4th down 7 times last week against Boston College.
I think the thought here is, hey, we just put a pretty good drive together. The kicker's
not on the field. I think he's surprised they're trying this.
They do need a kicker.
And they still have 18 on the play clock, but you saw Nick Skibo over practicing on the net. Time for one quick breath. 37-yard attempt. He's 6 out of 7. But his longest make has been 35 yards. And he hooked it off the upright. Well, there's no excuse for the kicker not to be ready in that situation. And Dave Clawson is over wondering what he was doing.
You only get a handful of opportunities in a game. Only a couple chances to get a sweat and have to take a shower after the game. His first one, doinked it off the left upright.
Wolf demonstrates that he can run. Here's a fumble on a big hit. Wake Forest has recovered, and they'll set up shop as Ryan Smenda brought it back inside the 15-yard line. Nasir Greer with the big hit to knock the football out.
Nasir Greer is going to get a lot more action tonight at strong safety. Big hit on the reverse. Pretty good-looking play to start off for Notre Dame, but a huge turnover.
Michael Young, a freshman, they're trying to take advantage of his speed. Sophomore from St. Rose, Louisiana.
Wake Forest, one of the problems for them this year has been they've not been good in the turnover margin. They've had 7 turnovers in 3 games. They only had 13 all of last year. So to get one early by their defense, they got to capitalize. They missed their last opportunity to score. Now they're in scoring territory again. Scotty Washington, their biggest receiver, he's been out for the first 3 games. Big target in the red zone.
Hartman in trouble. Did well to get back across the line of scrimmage, but they don't want him taking hits like that. Not a big guy. He was relatively unscathed against Tulane and Towson in those wins, but BC knocked him around a bit, and this is a physical Notre Dame defense.
Notre Dame's defense has not allowed big runs. They've only kept every opponent under 17 points, but they're threatened right now.
Pump fake, and Hartman throws it too far in front of his intended receiver. Looking for Brandon Chapman, a tight end. And on the sideline, I am guessing that Nick Skiba is aware that there might be a field goal attempt coming up.
Well, this would be a heck of a stand for the Notre Dame defense. Short field after the turnover by your offense. 2 plays and nothing.
Hartman, plenty of time. Throwing to the corner of the end zone, and a diving attempt made by Greg Dortch. And Skiba coming onto the field in a timely fashion.
He had Dortch. Dortch had a little bit of separation on that corner route and just overthrown by Hartman. And they'll have to settle for the 3-point attempt.
He missed a chippy, his first career kick against Tulane. Under 25 yards. Made 6 in a row, all of them short before the miss a moment ago. This one's a 30-yarder. Almost dead center. And that one is good. So Notre Dame trails for the first time this season in the first road game of the year for the Fighting Irish. There's Darren Ford to kick off. Graduate transfer from Hope College, where Harrison Blackledge was a basketball player. Here's Holly Rowe.
Well, Brandon Wimbush is 12-3 as a starter for Notre Dame, and Brian Kelly realized he was taking his best runner off the field today, but he did tell me before the game that he expected to play both quarterbacks. Wimbush is here on the sidelines with his headset on, very engaged with the play calling and what's going on the field. They just felt like they had too many talented people that they needed to get the ball in their hands, and that's why we're seeing Ian Book, but Wimbush still very active here on the sideline.
Yeah, I would think if this is a close ball game, particularly in the red zone, Holly, that's where we might see Wimbush and his ability as a dual threat guy.
Likely to be a close game. Notre Dame's played in 3 close ones. Avery Davis, another young player, redshirt freshman. They're trying to get more involved, just his 5th carry of the year, and Billy Yarbury stopped it.
So far, we have seen a much better looking Wake Forest defense than a week ago against Boston College. They got kind of shredded by the Eagles here in this stadium.
Very good Boston College team that's undefeated. Avery Davis again. Sang Bassey, the best cornerback on the Wake Forest team, made the play.
So far, Notre Dame is 0 for 2 on 3rd downs. Again, it's been good discipline by this Wake Forest secondary, forcing underneath throws or quarterback runs and not letting the ball get over the top of their heads.
Jafar Armstrong, the running back, on the left hip of Ian Book. He's 4 for 7 passing in his first start of the year. He's on target for a first down. That was a Mack. He's another player they felt like if the passes were accurate, he'd be able to use his athleticism.
He's a good-looking receiver, can get down the field vertically. And when I watched Book last year against North Carolina, that's what stood out. The short and intermediate throws, he's on time and he's accurate.
They didn't have big numbers in that game at Chapel Hill, but it was a rainy day, and they did score 33 points. Alizé Mack, another catch, a 9-yard gain. And Book got a lot of playing time in their bowl win, really rallied Notre Dame to beat LSU on a late, long touchdown pass to Miles Boykin. He's experienced and poised. Brian Kelly compared him to Trace McSorley, the Penn State quarterback. That's a compliment. Receiver open, and it's a first down Irish. 30-yard line. Alizé Mack again. He got belted by Nasir Greer, was a little slow to get up.
Watch the safety blitz. That voided that area in the middle of the field down the seam, and it was a good quick read by Ian Book.
Well, I hope Mack would be more involved with Book as the quarterback. He had 6 catches all year. He's had 4 already in the first quarter today. Here's Jafar Armstrong with great speed. Touchdown. 30-yard run. Notre Dame did not trail for the first time this year for very long.
Blitz in this gap. The run's going to go in that gap, and there's a big opening. If you bring a linebacker, you better close that other gap off. And Jafar Armstrong shows his niftiness once he gets to the second level, and a very nice response with the touchdown drive by Notre Dame.
And Justin Yoon, senior kicker, Nashville, Tennessee, attended Milton Academy just outside Boston. He has become the second all-time leading scorer at Notre Dame. Not only Alan Pinkett, now with 298 career points for Yoon after that extra point.
Hey, I work hard.
Jafar Armstrong from 30 yards out. Book was 4 for 4 on the touchdown drive. Jafar Armstrong, redshirt freshman, his 4th touchdown of the season in the 4th game of his Irish career. Jonathan Dorr will kick off. It's a good one. And Dortch about 4 yards deep. Sam Hartman hands it off inside to Cade Carney. A powerful run to the 29-yard line. And a gain of 4 on first down for Wake Forest. Tavon Coney made the tackle. Be interesting to see if he plays every snap today with Drew Tranquil. They have not come on the field for 1 snap on this Irish defense this year. Cade Carney again outside. Still on his feet. Finally taken down at the 50-yard line.
And you see a missed tackle by Coney. I'm not suggesting it's because of fatigue, because it's relatively early in the ball game. But a nice run by Carney. He's not particularly flashy, but he's effective.
20-yard run, longest allowed by Notre Dame this season. And the pass off the hands of Brandon Chapman along the far sideline.
Hartman was not really able to step into this throw. This is a pass that he had to make. There was pressure. He was throwing it off his back foot, and the ball sailed on him a little bit, but they had a chance for a big play right there.
And Hartman just 2 for 8 passing for 11 yards. They've been in the red zone twice already and have just 3 points. Made a field goal and missed one. Carney ahead for 2, and it'll be 3rd down and 8.
Look for Dortch here.
A blitz from Notre Dame. Hartman. It is Dortch, and it is a first down. Good catch. And Hartman, for a guy who's not that big, has plenty on it. Nick Coleman made the tackle.
Notre Dame went to a man-free coverage. That means single coverage on Dortch. He gets separation, and Hartman puts the ball on him for the first down.
I think when you go this fast, there can be some confusion. Here's Dortch leading the country in all-purpose yardage. He's down to the 22. They're in field goal range now. Dalen Hayes the tackle.
When you run this fast, you're hoping just to get the defense out of position a little bit. Maybe leave a gap uncovered in your run game.
This is the 27th play of the quarter for Wake Forest. And if Dave Clawson has his way, it won't be the last. There's still time to get another one off. Cade Carney down at the 21-yard line.
I think this is definitely 2-down territory for him.
Hartman kept it. Got back to the line of scrimmage and took another big hit. Dalen Hayes and Jordan Genmark Heath, who's played very little on defense this year, in on the stop. Entertaining first quarter. Irish leading the Demon Deacons 7-3. ABC College Football presented by Walmart will continue after this message and a word from your ABC stations. We're back just in time for Nick Skiba's attempt, and it is good from 39 yards out.
It's amazing what happens when you're on the field when you're supposed to be, right?
Yeah. A little time to get himself prepared. He's made 2 field goals. He's 2 for 3 here with just 4 seconds having gone by in the second quarter.
Dave Clawson is very happy to draw within 1, but ultimately they're going to need touchdowns to beat Notre Dame.
So here's Darren Ford out of Hope College, 1-year graduate transfer here. The Flying Dutchman.
Yes.
Your son was a basketball player.
He was an All-American basketball player. Had a great career. It was a perfect fit for him. A lot of fun weekends up in Holland, Michigan.
Michael Young, whoa, injured. They were looking at his left arm after he fumbled, and a moment's hesitation. He got blasted again at the 20. 4 for 4 on their touchdown drive late in the first quarter. Play fake, and he swung it out wide. Here's Chris Fink, nifty runner with the ball in his hands. He got 9. Here's Holly.
Well, Michael Young had just started coming alive for Notre Dame with 66 yards and 2 receptions, but he has suffered a left arm injury. They don't update injuries for Notre Dame, but I've observed them looking at his left wrist and thumb and putting some ice on that. He went to the locker room briefly.
And back well enough to return the kickoff. Here's Jafar Armstrong. Almost to midfield. He's to the 49-yard line. A couple of big plays by Jafar. That's a 21-yard run.
Beautiful job by the center, Sam Mustapher, leading the way on that play. Got a nice block on the middle linebacker. That hole opened up big.
That offensive line lost 2 players off the team last year who were picked in the top 10 picks of the NFL draft. They were a power football team last season, still searching for an identity this year. Book to Fink for a quality game.
This is a nice recognition by Book. See him look left. He sees the corner blitz, so he just runs away from it and makes the throw to the sideline. He knew there was pressure coming from his left, gave him time to the right, and made a nice throw.
Book given time on target. Here's Fink again. Wiggles down to the 30-yard line.
Again, Wake Forest defense in a bit of a dilemma because last week they were more aggressive, more blitzing, more man coverage, and they gave up big plays down the field. They're trying to play a little softer coverage with 2 safeties, keep everything in front, but Book's not getting greedy.
Book has a man at the 25, and down just short of the first down goes Avery Davis in the arms of Amari Henderson.
He's now 11 for 14 throwing the football, and he hasn't completed anything deep down the field. So he's being a smart quarterback and taking what this Wake Forest defense is giving him.
2nd and 1. Lots of running room for Davis. And a first down inside the 15-yard line, chopped down by Cameron Glenn.
When this guy's on the field, Davis, he's a perimeter threat. You're going to see him running to the outside or them using him in their screen game. He's a different type of runner than Armstrong or Jones.
Book dumps it off in the flat. Alize Mack gets 3 to the 9-yard line. Chuck Wade made the tackle. He was a wide receiver a year ago, and now as a senior playing safety. They had depth at receiver. They were depleted in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, receiver his first 3 years. So even though he's a senior, it's almost like he's a freshman starting over playing defense for the first time.
They've needed him. They've had injuries in the secondary. Without Kobe Davis for the year, who would have been one of their best. Book after the fake, lobs it to the back of the end zone. Incomplete. Looking for Alize Mack, who was looking for a flag against Justin Sternard.
Pretty well designed and conceived play, just slightly overthrown by Book. You can see maybe the happiest guy on the Notre Dame team for the quarterback change is the tight end Mack, because he has been targeted a lot here in the first half so far.
He's had 5 catches already, targeted 7 times. Mentioned earlier, it's 6 catches in the 3 games entering today.
Boykin, guy they got to look for here.
With his size on the outside. Book looking in the other direction, and they don't get the first down. They got the completion, and it was Boykin. You singled out Todd. And now Brian Kelly with the decision to make on 4th down and a yard at the 3. They're going for it.
Notre Dame has run the ball pretty effectively. I think that's why Brian is confident. He knows what kind of defense he has. So even if they don't convert here, it's a long field for Wake Forest and Sam Hartman.
They bring a tight end, Brock Wright, into the backfield as the fullback for Jafar Armstrong. 4th down and 1. It is a pass. It is a touchdown to Brock Wright.
The interesting thing about this is when Ian Book was the backup quarterback, he's been in the game on these short yardage and goal line plays. So this is right where he's been the first 3 weeks. They bring him in to throw the little play action passes around the goal line, rolls to his left and gets the touchdown throw to the fullback. At a play similar to that last week against Vanderbilt, coming off the bench as a backup, throwing a play action touchdown around the goal line.
Some wondered why isn't Wimbush in there at the goal line with his running skills, but when they throw a pass, a short pass, they want that accuracy. Yeah. And Book is giving it to them again today. Justin Yoon, the extra point. Book in his first start of the season, 2nd of his career, the redshirt sophomore, 14 out of 18, and now a touchdown pass. A thrill for Brock Wright, his first career touchdown reception. Notre Dame leads 14-6. It's Extra Yard for Teachers Week, week-long celebration of teachers led by the College Football Foundation. www.cfp-foundation.org gets you more information. Learn more about Extra Yard for Teachers Week. See how you can get involved. Jonathan Dorer, the kickoff. Here's Greg Dortch. Well covered by the Irish at the 18. Here's Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, Jerry Tillery of Notre Dame might be the most interesting student in the world. Just this summer alone, he's traveled to Mexico City, Japan, Singapore. He did an internship after he got his economics degree at an Irish hedge fund, and that interest and intrigue has led him everywhere. He really credits his microeconomics teacher at Notre Dame, Kirk Doran, for sparking his interest freshman year. He turned out to become an economics major, and Kirk Doran, a wonderful professor there. He's got degrees from Princeton, Harvard, and he is sparking the interest of the most interesting student in the world.
Well, we commend so many great professors, teachers at both of these universities. Tillery calls himself an ambassador to the human experience, and that might actually be an understatement if that's possible. Sam Hartman taken down by Jonathan Jones.
This defensive front, of which he anchors, he's the key up there. Very big, physical. They've got a lot of depth in their defensive line. Right now, they have really done a pretty good job.
Matt Colburn, the runner for Wake Forest. Jonathan Bonner the stop. And very quickly, they're into 3rd down and 9. They want to run a lot of plays, and they have. They've run 30, but Notre Dame right there with them. The Irish have run 28 on offense. Hartman escapes again, but not the second time. Buried back near the 5-yard line by Drew Tranquil.
See, this is just one-on-one guys getting beat. They're showing blitz, but they're going to drop out. It's just a 4-man rush, and the left tackle is going to get beat on the quick rush. He doesn't get the sack, but the defensive end working on Benzinger, the left tackle, was able to force the action, and then Tranquil gets the sack.
Khalid Kareem had the original rush. So a 3 and out, and here's Maggio. 28th career start as the punter, and a good one. Chris Fink from his own 44. Chris Fink with the punter trying to slow him down. Maggio got help, but Fink brought it all the way back inside the 5-yard line.
The direction was good on the punt, but the height, the hang time was bad. So there were no defenders down there when Fink got the ball. Very smart to go north and south, set up a couple blocks, and turns it into a big-time return. We came into the game expecting to see Greg Dortch as the best punt returner on the field. Chris Fink with an outstanding return to put the Irish right back in business inside the Wake Forest 5-yard line.
52-yard punt return of a 46-yard punt.
Good distance. It was good direction. It was poor hang time, and Fink made him pay for it.
Went to Notre Dame as a walk-on out of Dayton, Ohio. He's a key member of this team. Ian Book throws it away.
You almost get the feeling like Wake Forest has to come up with a stand here defensively, even though their offense is explosive and has been a pretty good scoring offense. They need to hold Notre Dame to a field goal attempt here. Jay Sauvel, the defensive coordinator, graduate of Mount Union, was a GA at Notre Dame for a couple years.
He has a graduate degree from Notre Dame. Worked for Lou Holtz and Bob Davie, and he can't stop Tony Jones. Jasir Taylor tried, but it was too late. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
Outstanding block by the tight end.
Number 72. That penalty is declined. Results of the play, touchdown.
Watch the right side of the line. Block down. The guard's going to pull and just kind of seal the edge. This is just good power football. At the line of scrimmage, tight end seals it. The guard leads. And Armstrong carries a tackler into the end zone.
Yeah, Trevor Rulin, making his first start at right guard, got out ahead of the play and looked like he was struggling to find somebody to block. Justin Yoon for the extra point. Ooh. Just barely inside the right upright. 21-6, Notre Dame looking good. First road game of the year. Nice day to parachute in. Very little breeze, about 3 miles per hour. And Ian Book, excellent in his second career start and first of this season for Notre Dame. Jonathan Dorer, and they'll bring it out. Here's Sam Hartman under duress, throwing it up for grabs, and too long in the direction of Alex Bachman, who did not play against Boston College a week ago Thursday with a hamstring injury, but he is a deep threat. Had 116 yards receiving against Notre Dame last year on 8 catches. And as soon as he got back to the line of scrimmage, they're ready to go. Nifty run by Cade Carney and good blocking on the left side of the line. It's a Wake Forest first down out to the 48. Jalen Elliott the stop.
Just a missed assignment inside, a loss of leverage or a loss of gap contained by Notre Dame's defense on 2nd and 10, and a big play for Wake Forest.
23-yard run, longest allowed by Notre Dame this year. They came into this game not having allowed a 20-yard rush this season.
Clark Lee, the defensive coordinator, his first year. He was on the Wake Forest staff with Dave Clawson in 2016.
And they are very close friends. Clawson, a mentor to the Irish defensive coordinator. Hartman nowhere to go. That's about a 2-yard loss, and because it was close to the Notre Dame sideline, Brian Kelly said, we're going to change like a hockey team. Yeah. They had the new line ready to come on the short run to the ball.
It's all defensive linemen. They call it a rally group, trying to get fresh legs in here on this 3rd down passing situation.
Carney stayed in to block, and it's Dortch the catch, swung out of bounds by Houston Griffith, but they convert with a 12-yard play on 3rd down.
He's so quick that once he makes his break, he's going to get instant separation. If the ball's thrown on time, as it was, they get the completion for the first down.
Just more than midway through the 2nd quarter, Wake Forest runs its 39th play, and it's an incomplete pass. Hartman in the direction of Alex Bachman.
Last year, when these two teams played in South Bend, it was a senior veteran quarterback. But even though Notre Dame had control of the game, Wake Forest scored 37 points and gained 587 yards. And it forced Notre Dame to make a lot of changes in their defense. Press coverage is one of those.
Two teams combined for nearly 1,300 yards of offense. last year in South Bend. Cade Carney tackled by Drew Tranquil. 3rd down and 9.
Mark Lee said we had to change. We were giving up too many free access throws last year.
Hartman, plenty of time there. Back of the end zone. And there is a flag. The crowd was screaming for it, and they'll get it against Nick Coleman. Greg Dortch, the intended receiver.
Pass interference. Defense, number 24. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Yeah, that's a break for Wake Forest. I'm not sure that Dortch would have been able to catch this ball had there been no interference. The ball looked like it sailed a little bit on Hartman. Good protection. Clearly a penalty, but I'm not sure that that ball would have been caught by Dortch had there not been the contact. But this is critical now for Wake Forest to score a touchdown. Touchdowns in the red zone. Keep this game at a one-possession game if they can, or close to it.
On 1st and goal, Matt Colburn into the end zone with the first touchdown of the day for the Demon Deacons. Second touchdown of the year for the senior from Irmo, South Carolina, Matt Colburn. Extra point good by Skiba. It's a 1-score game. Matt Colburn into the end zone. It's 21-13 Notre Dame, 2nd quarter. Darren Ford the kickoff. Michael Young did not bring it out. Avery Davis, the running back. Ian Book faked it to him and hit Jafar Armstrong. Todd, you talked about it earlier. Brian Kelly likes the sense of urgency with which Ian Book plays. He talked about Baker Mayfield the other night. So did you watch what happened with Cleveland? Baker Mayfield got into the game for the Browns. It looked like everybody was energized by it. And that's what Book does to this team. He's done it today.
He also likened him to Trace McSorley of Penn State.
Similar size, similar running ability. Strong arm, leadership skills. He wasn't on the same page there with Avery Davis. You're just tuning in. Brandon Wimbush, the starter last year, the starter in the first 3 games of this season.
Wow, crazy looking formation coming up here.
On the sideline today as Ian Book has started. 3 receivers in a bunch to the right. They get it to Young. He splits the defense, showing his ability to run after the catch, and he may go all the way now. Michael Young all the way to the 2-yard line.
Well, Alize Mack, the tight end, got the key block. Watch the block by 86 on the outside. Both receivers get blocks. It's a short, quick throw on time with accuracy, and then your playmaker does the rest.
66 yards. They're on the doorstep again. And Book keeps it himself for the Irish touchdown.
Wow. 3rd down and short. They get the big play. And then nice play action. We haven't seen Ian Book run a lot, but he's been effective when he has run. And he makes a good decision here for the Irish touchdown. Pretty easy touchdown as it was.
And again, the big play Young is another example. If you called that play with Wimbush at the quarterback position and you're the Notre Dame coaches, you're not sure that that throw is going to be accurate to allow for that run after the catch by a terrific athlete. Here's Holly with Brian Kelly.
Well, Coach Kelly, given it's a season high 28 points in the first half, 10 different receivers have caught passes. How do you assess your change at quarterback?
Well, I thought we played pretty good. We got to make more plays for the kid. I thought Book did a nice job with dropping some passes, but we've done some pretty good things. You know, they're a tough team to play. You know, they run a lot of plays, and, you know, we just got to play a little bit better. You know, we got a 2-score lead going in the second half. It's going to be a long day. We just got to keep going on the road. It's hard to win, but, you know, we're in a good position. Got to play better in the second second half.
What do you see from your defense with the heat and the tempo that you were concerned about for the second half?
Well, you know, I think we're getting a lot of guys in, you know, so a lot of guys are playing. I think in the second half, you know, they want to run the football, and we've got to do a better job running the football. And then, obviously, you know, number 3 is a great player. And when we get down here, you know, we can't give them free, easy shots at it. We got to double them, make them go to somebody else, and I think we'll make that adjustment at half.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Holly.
Wake Forest ran 56 plays in the half. But it's the Irish with the lead. Kevin, Mack, and Jonathan, the State Farm halftime report after these messages. And we welcome you back to ABC College Football, presented by Walmart, BB&T Field in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Notre Dame on the road for the first time this season, trying to go to 4-0 and leading Wake Forest 28-13. The Demon Deacons will get the ball to begin the second half. Greg Dortch back for the kickoff from Jonathan Dorer. And it is returnable for Dortch from the 4. And he stopped at the 22. We welcome you back to Winston-Salem. Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge. Interesting first half. I give Brian Kelly a lot of credit. The quarterback change clearly gave his team a lift, and the defense will be tested in the second half.
They will. It was the right decision to make. It was the right time to do it, and it paid off. 67% completion. He hit 9 different receivers. He moved the offense with urgency. They scored more points than they've been scoring. So I think it was the right time to make the move, and Brian Kelly looks not only gutsy but smart right now.
28 points, the most they've scored in a game this year. Here comes the explosive Demon Deacon offense. Alex Bachman with a catch and a first down out to the 34, a 12-yard gain, and that's the 57th play for Wake Forest already. We'll see if it has an effect on Notre Dame as the second half goes.
But that's only the second pass completion on a first down play, so that was a huge play.
And then Matt Colburn dumped at the line of scrimmage, perhaps even a loss of just a bit.
In the first half, Sam Hartman attempted 10 passes on first down. He was only able to complete 1 of them. 9 incompletions, and first down should be a great down to throw against a good defense.
Just joining us, the temperature near 90. The fans trying to find shade wherever it is, including under the big scoreboard to our right. Colburn another carry. Julian Okwara stopped that play for another loss.
So physical up front, Notre Dame is.
Hartman running out of time and ripped down back inside the 25. Julian Okwara, who's having a terrific game for the Irish.
Well, Okwara started on the outside right here. He's going to work inside and then just kind of find the quarterback as he gets knocked around a little bit. Hartman's forced out of the pocket by Tillery, and Okwara there to wrap him up for another sack.
Tom Maggio to punt. Chris Fink back deep. Very important possession there for Wake Forest, trying to get a little momentum back, get some life in this crowd. And that was a bad possession. Excellent punt of 50 yards. Chance to grab a hold of this game right here for Notre Dame. Avery Davis, much more involved than he had been previously, gets a first down to the 38-yard line. Cameron Glenn the stop.
They kind of feel like Davis can be another playmaker for them. He's not as big as the other backs, but he is a dangerous guy on the perimeter.
Notre Dame running plenty of plays as well. This is the 44th of the Irish. Book took what was there. Armstrong, tough run. Former wide receiver, you think of him more as a sprinter type body. He was the Kansas State High School 100 and 200 meter champion, but he's shown some toughness today.
And again, that throw doesn't look like much. It's a dump off throw, but it's thrown in front of the receiver where he can catch it, and his eyes are downfield, and he turns a short catch into a nice play.
We've seen many examples of that from the very beginning. Pretty good hole. Tony Jones got the first down. Looked like it was a more promising opportunity for him, but Cameron Glenn prevented the big gainer.
As much as the ball has been distributed all the way around, the guy who's been pretty quiet today so far is, I think, their most explosive receiver, and that's number 81, Miles Boykin. He's down at the bottom of the screen right now, lined up against Bassey.
Book plenty of time. Wide open receiver. It's Jones out of the backfield inside the 10. First and goal, Notre Dame.
Wow, what a nice halftime adjustment this is. Well-conceived plays. The number 3 receiver coming out. The tight end ran a crossing route to pull the linebacker. Boykin ran a post route, and the back was wide open.
30-yard gain. Dave Clawson talked to Holly Rowe at the half, so we need to stop giving up the big plays. They gave up 9 plays in the first half of 10 yards or more, 4 plays of 20 or more, and that play a moment ago by Jones, a 30-yarder. Second down goal for Notre Dame. Ian Book, lunging attempt for the goal line. It is a touchdown by Chase Claypool.
Motion with the tight end creates kind of a bunch formation. Claypool's going to come from the outside here. You can't see him in the screen right away. He's going to come in, gets lost in the shuffle, and Ian Book, as he has done the entire game, finds the open guy. Progressive pylon cam. Nice look at it right down the goal line. Big receiver, kind of built like a tight end at 6'4", 227 pounds.
He and Boykin are 2 very big wideouts. Claypool's been a good special teams player. It's his first touchdown of the season. 3rd of his career for the junior from Abbotsford, British Columbia. 35-13, the Irish. So here's Jonathan Dorner again. Returnable, and Wake Forest could really use one from the dynamic Dortch, who has been totally stymied by great coverage all day by Notre Dame. Asmar Bilal that time. Kumbo Ogundeje, who is part of that deep defensive front. Dalen Hayes also listed as a backup in on that tackle on Sam Hartman.
The biggest area this defense needs to improve is their linebacker depth. They've got depth at the defensive line. They've got some secondary depth. But they've got to develop some of their younger linebackers right now.
Well, Hartman's obviously very tough. He's been getting whacked all day long, but now slow to get up after the most recent play.
It's been a rough day for him. Again, he's not an overly physical kid. Listed at about 185 pounds. These hits just take their toll, whether it's a body hitting you or you hitting the ground or you hitting the ground with a body on top of you. Those hits all accumulate and add up during the course of a football game.
Let's send you down to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, keep in mind that Sam Hartman's going to have to come out for at least a play no matter what's wrong with him right now. But Jamie Newman, number 12, is going to enter this game. He's just taken a few snaps with Ryan Anderson, the center, to get ready. Newman is a much different size quarterback, 6'4", 230 pounds. He hasn't been healthy the first few weeks of the season with a quad injury, but they say he's at full speed and he's a bigger body that could maybe absorb some of these throws. And as you see, they're going to take Hartman straight to the locker room right now.
Well, Newman was actually injured in the second summer scrimmage and just came back full speed of Tuesday of this week. So it's a good thing that they got him back. Of course, they also got Kendall Hinton back after a 3-game suspension, but he's not worked as much at quarterback as this guy has.
So here's Newman. Coaches told us yesterday was actually ahead of Hartman on the depth chart over the summer before he got hurt.
Number 12, Jamie Newman.
There's a situation where Sam Hartman just took advantage. I mean, Hinton was suspended. This guy got hurt. He's a freshman, and he just stepped into the gap and didn't give up the job.
Newman a little too high along the near sideline. Here's Holly.
Well, Sam Hartman was taken to the locker room. The athletic trainer came over to the sideline and told us that he is cramping. They're going to take him to the locker room, get him some more liquids and fluids, and get him back out here.
You know, it's weird that you say that, Holly, because that last shot we showed of him taking hits, his hand, it looked like his fingers were cramping when he was getting up off of the ground. That's just an unusual thing to see.
Don Maggio. Good punt this time. Drives Chris Fink back to the 23. Poor tackling by the Demon Deacons. They had excellent coverage, but you got to make the tackle. And Fink turned it into a gain. Travion Red made the stop. 50-yard punt. Midway through the third quarter, Notre Dame in control, trying to go to 4-0. They move it out to the 44. Another first down. Jafar Armstrong. Tough run.
Well, the Notre Dame running game, the first two games against Michigan and Ball State, it wasn't much. They ran for an average of 125 yards a game in those two games. They busted out last week against Vanderbilt with 245 yards. And they're sitting at about 145 in this ball game right now. But the balance that they've had in their offense is the best that I've seen it this year.
Book. Across the line of scrimmage, has a first down and goes out of bounds at the 41-yard line, chased across the sideline by Ryan Smenda.
Their player development processes are going to just improve and be enhanced with the new football facility that they're putting in here. It's going to be an outstanding addition.
It is impressive what they're doing here with a lot of their athletic facilities. Book's pass incomplete. Boston along the sideline with Luke Masterson in coverage. Well, they don't have a great football history here. Yeah, we mentioned 58 straight losses against the AP top 10. I think you know the answer to the Aflac trivia question. It's their only win, by the way, in the history of the AP poll, which dates back to 1934 against a top 10 team.
I think they beat Tennessee, right?
They beat Tennessee.
P-Head, wasn't he the coach? P-Head Walker.
And John Makovic was the coach. They had some great wins that year. They beat Georgia in Athens, was ranked number 12. They won at North Carolina, number 14. Jafar Armstrong, with the umpire Jim Heisen bandaged up. Tackled by Chuck Wade. It's been a big day for Jafar.
Just road graders on that right side of the offensive line. Some fatigue showing on this Wake Forest defense.
Now Book running and has a long way to go before he encounters the Demon Deacon. First and goal at the 3-yard line. Isang Bassi to tackle. Wake Forest wanted to wear out Notre Dame with its tempo, but it looks like the Irish are doing that now to the Demon Deacon defense. Armstrong stopped just shy of the goal line. He's looking for a 100-yard game, which would be the first of his career. He's at 97, and he's averaging 14 yards per carry. And he's into the end zone this time with another Notre Dame touchdown.
You know, again, just inside zone run, lowers the head, lowers the pad level, and just plows forward. Just needs to get the ball across the plane. There it is right there. Another great look by the progressive pylon cam. Coming into the ball game, I did not think Notre Dame had looked like an 8th-ranked team in the country through their first 3 games. The change at quarterback, the change offensively, they're looking more and more like that's where they belong.
Cloud cover appreciated by the fans here, including the Notre Dame women's soccer team. They're in town. They'll take on Wake Forest tomorrow. Jonathan Dorr to kick off. Line drive kick, no chance for a return. And our hearts go out to the many whose lives have been totally uprooted by Florence, especially in this part of the country. And there's an interception by Troy Pride. injured and helped off the field earlier, intercepts the pass. And Notre Dame back in business at the 47-yard line.
Yeah, this is a case where a cloud cornerback, or a cornerback who has rolled up, was reading the quarterback zone coverage and drifted underneath the deeper throw. When you are reading deep to short, you've got to make quicker decisions. That ball was late thrown by Newman, and a really nice play by Troy Pride reading the quarterback.
His third career interception, his second of this season.
Notre Dame so far 55 offensive plays, 428 yards. That's an average of almost 8 yards a play.
And Book doing just about anything he wants with this talented Notre Dame offense. Chase Claypool the catch, and so first and goal for Notre Dame just outside the 2 with 4.5 to go in the third quarter. A sigh of relief breathed by Irish fans concerned about the offense to start the year. Not now. Ian Book back in the end zone.
Second touchdown run for Brooks. Similar kind of play action, just a kind of a read option. Mom and Dad enjoying the action.
Rick and Kim. You might say they've turned the page to Ian Book. It's a new chapter, and it's being well reviewed.
All that and above, yeah.
Yes.
All that.
You might not say that, too. And if you did say it, you might have regretted it.
Well, he has certainly breathed a spark of life into their passing game and their overall offense.
Justin Yoon adds the extra point. Now more than twice as many points as they had scored in any of the previous 3.
As impressive to me as his accuracy and quick release on the throw has been his decision making in both the running and passing game. He has made very few mistakes mentally in the ball game, reading the Wake Forest defense, recognizing and making good decisions throughout the day. Nice little congratulations from Brandon Wimbush, whose place he took.
I mentioned Notre Dame travels well. The stadium largely empty now. Last time, the first time that Notre Dame came here, the first meeting between these two teams ever was in 2011. The Irish won 24-17. It was a chilly day. There are 36,307 fans. The stadium record about 5,000 over capacity. This is the smallest Power 5 stadium in the country. They thought they might beat that crowd today, but I think the heat chased a lot of people away. Third down and 1. Jamie Newman still the quarterback.
That is a little different body type at the quarterback. We've seen Hartman run the football and get rocked by this Notre Dame defense. That time, Jamie Newman delivered the blow. And that's Tranquil back out of the tent on the sideline, which is good to see for Notre Dame.
Christian Beal-Smith, the running back now. Coaches were hoping for an opportunity to get him more involved. Redshirt freshman from right here in Winston-Salem. They didn't want it to happen under these circumstances.
You know, when we talked to Clark Lee yesterday, the defensive coordinator, who was here in 2016, was also with Dave Clawson at Bowling Green in 2012. He said this game last year in South Bend kind of exposed some things about their defense that they weren't happy with. Mike Elko was the defensive coordinator then. Now he's at Texas A&M. And one of the things they really tried to change from that game was denying free access throws, much more press coverage.
Newman, the ball carrier.
Last year, in a cold, kind of rainy day up in South Bend, Wake Forest gained 587 yards against this defense, and so they went to work on changing some things structurally to be better. A lot more tighter coverage all the way across the field.
We got some help from Bo Pelini, now the head coach at Youngstown State, formerly the head coach at Nebraska. He has a son on the Notre Dame team, so he's been to the campus in South Bend a few times, and Lee actually went to Youngstown to visit him. Bo's one of the great defensive minds in football.
before they lost Justin Herron, their left tackle, they felt their left tackle, left guard, and center were all top NFL prospects on this roster in differing orders depending on which scouts you talk to. The center, Ryan Anderson, tell you about him in a second. He's not in right now.
Well, he's actually moved to left guard to take the place of Haynes. And Zach Tom has taken his place. Beal Smith belted out of bounds.
Ryan Anderson, this is his 34th career start. He was a right tackle originally. They moved him to center. He's at left guard right now. I didn't even know this. I was walking off the field, coming up back to the booth before the game, and a guy grabs me. It's Dick Anderson, my old offensive line coach at Penn State. He and his wife are here. That's their grandson, Ryan. They say they come to all the home games down here and are just having a great time.
Dick was the head coach at Rutgers as well. Jamie Newman showing some good rushing ability. Is that coach there?
That's him.
Bucket hat.
Bucket hat, yeah. His wife, Kathy. He was really a good offensive line coach. Of course, we had a lot of great players. Didn't raise his voice very much. Very strict, down to business kind of guy.
And now Kendall Hinton taking his first snap at quarterback. He takes off. Coaches said he's dynamic, and they weren't lying. Touchdown, Wake Forest.
Well, we saw Newman with a couple of nice runs showing his power. This is Hinton showing his elusiveness and his quick strike ability. Little counter, follows right in there behind the back. Beal Smith. And you can just see that shiftiness and the ability to make people miss in the open field. Nice to see that young man back in action for this Wake Forest offense.
Suspended for violation of team rules the first 3 games of the season. The extra point is up and good by Skiba. Hinton's a redshirt junior from Durham, North Carolina. Started at least 1 game in each of the previous 3 years behind John Wolford, who was a 4-year starter, an excellent player. He got dropped off the practice squad at the last minute by the New York Jets. Very nearly made their practice squad. Ian Book today, and he has been thriving under the career high 273 passing yards.
Outstanding decision making, accurate with the ball. The ball gets out quick. He's only thrown the ball further than 20 yards down the field that I can remember, maybe 2 times, 3 times maybe.
Avery Davis scoots ahead for about 7, and we're into the final minute of the 3rd quarter.
Brian Kelly felt we're leaving too many plays on the field. We've got playmakers on the perimeter. We've got playmakers at running back. We've got to get the ball distributed to those guys in positions where they can make plays more consistently, and we've seen that today.
Davis carries for a first down. This is an outburst. Brian wanted to spark the offense. He did with the quarterback change, and now it ties the most points scored by Notre Dame in the 9 years with Brian Kelly as head coach in a road game.
Well, and we mentioned doing it now with Stanford and Virginia Tech next. This was the right time to make the move.
ABC College Football presented by Walmart will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We're on to the 4th quarter here in Winston-Salem. ABC College Football presented by Walmart. Notre Dame trailed very early. They have dominated since. They fell behind 3-0 the first quarter. First time they trailed all year, but that lasted a little over 2 minutes. Ian Book has been tremendous in his first start of the season.
Your Notre Dame offensive coordinator, Chip Long, playing Wake Forest has been good to you the last 2 years.
Kevin Austin, the catch.
Last year, Notre Dame gained 710 yards on 84 plays. That's an average of 8.5 yards per play. That was with Brandon Wimbush at quarterback. Today, there are 61 plays for nearing 500 yards.
Book, if that's completed, it'll be over 500. Austin the killer. Holly?
Well, guys, I've come up into the stands to talk to Ian Book's parents, and the mom scattered away like she's like, no way, I don't want any part of this. They did not want to talk on camera, but Dad told me that Ian did know early this week that he would get this start, so he's had some time to compose himself and kind of be mentally ready for this opportunity.
Well, the coaches talk about his poise. I think the comparison to McSorley, Trace McSorley, outstanding Penn State quarterback that Brian Kelly made last night, is good. He said he's McSorley.
Yeah.
And he's similar height, similar arm strength, similar athleticism, leadership skills, energy level.
Yeah.
They are a lot alike.
Distributes the football. That, you know, I really, his decisiveness, his calm, and his accuracy, whether he's on the move or whether he's out of the pocket. You know, I love watching Trace McSorley. I think he's the most exciting quarterback in college football.
This fake got blasted several times and just kept going. Kind of greatness that John Anderson used to describe on the great show Wipeout. You just hit the obstacles and stay on your feet. Get to talk to Jill Wagner at the end of it.
Well, Fink is one of those overachieving guys. Came as a walk-on, earned a scholarship.
Book.
Oh, we've done this 3 times.
Well, too bad the parents don't want to talk because there's a lot to talk about. That is his 3rd rushing touchdown of the game.
It won't always be this easy for Ian Book if he remains the quarterback at Notre Dame, but what a great way for him to start and to kind of get his feet wet and trying to move this football team forward.
Good first chapter.
Yes, great first chapter.
Requires no editing. Here's Justin
Hughes. The rest of the
well, you know, it's 55-20. Didn't expect to throw Wipeout in there, but you do what you can. You and another extra point. He's getting closer to being Notre Dame's all-time leading scorer. What a day for Ian Book. Back in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Notre Dame, number 8 in the country, has scored 28 points in each half. That's more than they had scored in any of the first 3 games of the season against Michigan, Ball State, or Vanderbilt. Jonathan Doerr's kickoff returnable for Christian Beal-Smith. And he's down at the 22. We talk about the difference between a place like Notre Dame. You look at their roster, it's 4-star recruits, 5-star recruits. They come from all over the country. Everybody wanted them. It's different here at Wake Forest. And Dave Clawson told us a story about how they wound up with Jake Benzinger, who's, as we said, becoming a pro prospect. He's from Williamstown, Mass, up in the northwest corner of beautiful Commonwealth of Massachusetts, helping lead the way for Christian Beal-Smith. And Dave Clawson played at Williams College, which is in that town. His coach was the legendary Dick Farley, who's in the College Football Hall of Fame and who's here today. Farley's remained a mentor to Coach Clawson. Dick Farley called Dave Clawson and said, hey, we have a kid in town. I'm friendly with the family. His name's Jake Benzinger. Really good student. Decent football player. Might be a D3 player, maybe an Ivy League player. Can we send him down to your camp? Could you give us an evaluation what you think his potential is? Dave Clawson called him back after they saw Jake and said, he could play here in the ACC. He was nowhere near 295 pounds, but that's what they do. They look at athletic potential, and they coach him up. And this young man is probably on his way to Harvard. Now he might be on his way to the NFL.
That's right. He was the starting right tackle last year, and then he moved to left tackle when they lost Justin Herron. He's over at right tackle again right now as they're working in Javionte Nash at left tackle right now. So a very versatile guy, and NFL guys like that too.
Yeah. Kendall Hinton.
You can see the flash that Hinton has. I mean, you think about in another couple weeks, him along with Dortch, what those two guys can do as slot receivers. Scotty Washington is just kind of coming back after a couple injuries, a shoulder injury in the summer, then he had a back injury early in the BC game. But you know, he's a big time guy. I think if they get those guys all in the swing together, this offense is going to have some more explosiveness. Well, we talked during the break how important that first possession of the third quarter was going to be. You know, at that point the game was still within reach, And you're right, it was a dud. They kicked it to Notre Dame. Notre Dame promptly went down and scored again, and I think at that point Wake Forest realized that the game was out of reach for them.
This was a team with high hopes coming in. Wake Forest won 8 games last year. Beat Texas A&M in a shootout at the Belt Bowl down the road in Charlotte. Had some excellent wins last year. Beat Louisville on their way to the bowl championship. They're trying to win 7 games or more for the 3rd straight year. That's only happened 1 time. 3 straight seasons of 7 wins in the history of the school. That great run they had under Jim Grobe, 2006 through 08, when they won 11, 9, and 8.
Well, we've seen what the other quarterbacks besides Sam Hartman, or behind Sam Hartman now, what they bring to this Wake Forest offense. Jamie Newman is a big kid, 6'4", 230 pounds, runs with power. And we've seen Kendall Hinton, when he lines up at quarterback, he's got the make you miss ability.
I don't think they want to tackle this quarterback, Newman. He's rushed for 58 yards, over 8 yards per carry. He gave it to Christian Beal Smith.
Well, who would have imagined that this would be the game? I'm sure Brian Kelly didn't anticipate, but he's thankful that this would be the day that he could get some of his defensive players some rest. They played Ball State. They would have figured that game at home early in the year would have been their game where they could have got a big lead. Their defensive players, including their 2 starting linebackers, played every snap, 97 snaps in that ball game.
Beal Smith. There's a young player they wanted to see more from. Bo Bauer, who had not played a single snap on defense prior to today. He doesn't know what it's like to lose. His team, Cathedral Prep in Pennsylvania, won the last 28 games that he played there, and now he's going to be 4-0 in college football.
Well, he's one of those guys who right now is really good against the run. The passing game in college football a little bit ahead of where he is, but he's going to get better and better the more reps he gets.
Here's Newman. Touchdown. Jamie Newman, redshirt sophomore from Graham, North Carolina, with a 15-yard touchdown run.
Kind of a counter trap. Watch him just follow the lead back. He's very patient on this play. He's going to get right in the hip pocket of Beal Smith and kind of follow him to the end zone. Beal Smith didn't block anybody, but he still got in people's way, and that big quarterback got right behind him and took it in for the easy touchdown.
First rushing touchdown of his career. So a very brief action as a redshirt freshman behind John Wolford a year ago. 4:53 to go.
Yeah, Justin Herbert is outstanding. When he's been healthy, Oregon has been really good. I think the Ducks are going to get that one done. Even though I think Stanford is probably the best team in the country at knowing what their identity is and playing to it. I think that place is going to be loud. I think it's a big night for the Ducks. All the schools now getting into the nutrition in a much larger way. I just also found out today that Wake Forest has hired a sports psychologist for the first time. That they have a staff person handling that.
Might need
aspect.
that person today.
Maybe.
Yep. Terrific athletic history here. We thank Phil Haynes and Cade Carney for the tour for Holly yesterday. She was working hard while Todd played golf. Great golf tradition here at Wake Forest. Great player. Arnold Palmer, of course, the king. Curtis Strange and Lanny Watkins and Billy Andrade and the Hosses. Many more. Now, Brian Kelly, the most points scored in a road game in his 9 years as head coach. A couple of guys with roots back to Massachusetts. Kelly, a graduate of Assumption College, and Clausen from Williams College. A lot of respect between those two excellent coaches. 56-27 the final. What a day for Ian Book. He is the story of this early college football Saturday. Clemson versus Georgia Tech still to come after these messages.